I think we are starting. We are indeed. It says the stream is going. Okay, 1 second. Hi, everybody. We have a quick little gap in time between when Riverside kicks in and this kicks in. Yeah, I see us now. There we are. Hi, everybody. You're going to see an ad. This is part of the fun, you guys, with going live with news, is that you're watching the sausage get made. We see folks. Hi, Jack. Hi, It Can Be. Hi, Christine. So this is a little experiment we're doing here. We're going to do news live for the first time ever. Being the media disruptor that I am creating something entirely new and fresh, and it's called live news. I've already invented the internet of the newsletter. I invented the newsletter. Now I've invented this. So thanks for being here. We've got a great crowd. Alex and Matt and Micah and Jared and Angel. All our friends are here. Courtney. Hey, guys. Hey, Kevin in Toronto. Hey, Brent. Brent Luthold's here. Check out Brent's reviews at Awake in the Dark. The finest film critic in Indiana is Brent Luthold. Go check out his stuff. He's great. Sarah of Newark. Hi. Danny McKetto. I said your name right, finally. Our good friend and our Patreon lunch date friend, Danny, informed me that I was mispronouncing his name all this time, and I felt terrible.
I feel your pain, Danny.
As somebody whose maiden name and married name both get butchered all the time. Nancy, so pleased you're here. Spencer, thanks for being a channel member. You get extra goodies as a channel member. Click join to find out more. Hello, Selena in London. Hello, Kate in Michigan. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do news. This is what we would be doing if you weren't here, talking about all the stuff that's going on. But we also want to chat with you and hear about your thoughts on all these topics as well. So thank you so much for joining us for this first time. If it's a fiasco, we've learned something. If it's great, we've learned something. I'm all about fine-tuning and figuring these things out, and we appreciate you for being here for all of that. All in the Game says he needs a shower after the Vince McMahon story. I don't know that I even want to talk about the Vince McMahon. Hi, Angel. All right, so Oscar nominations came out this past week, which is part of why we were doing this live right now. It was so much fun chatting with all you guys and hearing all your thoughts. So now there's sort of been, reactions to things, what happened, what didn't happen. I thought Ryan Gosling in particular did a really nice job of threading that needle between being thankful for the nomination for Barbie, but also saying like, this is some bullshit that Greta and Margot didn't get nominated too. What do you think about that?
And also acknowledging America Ferrera.
America Ferrera too,
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I think that social media just amplifies stuff to such a ridiculous degree because bitching about the Oscars is our annual pastime. Like there's no one's ever satisfied. There's always a thing of like, oh, you could have, and why didn't you, and how did they leave out, And of course, because it's the internet, now the latest version I've seen is like, I'm tired of hearing people talk about two privileged white women not getting nominated for an award when they haven't said a word about Gaza. And I'm like, okay, then we can't ever talk about fluffy, goofy stuff because there's shit in the world. There's always shit in the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want to just talk about the fluffy, goofy shit because it's something that we feel like we have a little bit more of a control over. So, it's the fucking Oscars. Y'all calm down. It means nothing.
Apparently we curse more when we're live too.
Why not?
We're very excited. Brett points out that Leo made a nice post about Lily Gladstone, Leonardo DiCaprio, also doing something gracious. And someone here, I want to go back and figure it out. DK, who else got their Dune Part 2 tickets this morning? Dune Part 2 tickets are out. That movie comes out March 1st. We will, of course, have a review for you. Hi, Katie. Never been to a live before. We're happy for you to be here, too. It's been a long time. It's just tricky. And it's so early, you guys. Today is January 26th. The Oscars are not until March 10th. We have weeks and weeks to be outraged and to sort through it all and everything. DK points out that outrage drives clicks and ruins everything.
There is that. I forgot to mention this in our hour-long discussion of Oscar nominations. I'm thrilled that Robot Dreams got an animated nod.
That's a good one.
I really love that movie, and I didn't put it on my top 10 list only because I feel like so few people had a chance to see it. Like, I didn't even know that it had an awards run. It was so sort of on the DL. I had the disc from Neon. Love that movie, and I'm very excited for people getting to see it when it emerges soon, I imagine.
Yeah, it's in the Neon box. Neon is really smart, and they put out a box of all of their stuff of end of the year screeners for critics and such. So we could probably catch up with that at some point because it's in the box right there behind me. What's in
Yeah,
the box?
Perfect Days also is in the box, so that'll be an easy one for us to look at, which is also a nominee this year.
We will definitely do Perfect Days. It's in the international film category. Yes. Oh, so speaking of awards, I forgot to mention our good friend Timothy Good, who was the editor on The Last of Us,
Yes.
friend of the show. He won an Emmy, and he got nominated this past week for an Ace Eddie Award for that heartbreaking episode 3, Long, Long Time.
Sweet. Oh, that's so great. Good for him.
He's a great guy and a very talented gentleman and a friend of the show. So yeah, a lot of folks are pointing out in the comments here that Greta got nominated for screenplay and that Margot got nominated for Best Picture. Hi, Jared Diamond. Yes. Jared Diamond, superstar baseball writer extraordinaire. Jared Diamond is here. Robbie produced and starred in the most successful of the movie of the year, was nominated for producing. Right. So nobody should be worried about them. Yeah. And I'm sure that Margot Robbie rather is probably delighted to be up for Best Picture.
Sure. Yes.
As she builds that brand.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, look, and again, like at the end of the day, this is a thing that, people chase and that is an ego boost and it becomes the first line of your obituary. But ultimately, it is history and audiences and a lot of other factors that really decide what are the movies that last. I mean, let's never forget 2001: A Space Odyssey was not nominated for Best Picture and Oliver was, and it won.
Yeah.
And
Kubrick never got an Oscar, right?
Correct.
Right. So whatever.
Nor did Hitchcock.
Yes. Shocking. Jacob Ryder points out, I think Godzilla Minus One could pull an Ex Machina upset and win Best Visual Effects. That's an excellent theory. And that brings us to something I want to talk about today, which is, Alonso, last night you went and saw Godzilla Minus One minus color. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So they're doing a reissue now. It's a black and white version of Godzilla Minus One. And it's not just a thing where they flip a switch and, desaturated it. The director and the cinematographer went through it and worked on the shadings and that kind of thing. It's gorgeous. It really looks great. And I think because the film is set during and after World War II, it makes sense for it to be in black and white. And so, the original Gojira in the 50s was also a black and white movie. So yeah, it looks terrific. And in fact, somebody on my Facebook was saying that they thought that some of the digital stuff that they didn't love in the color version actually looks better in the black and white version. So I was very excited. I love getting the opportunity to see that kind of thing. Like I saw the black and white Parasite when they screened it at the American Cinematheque, and you can watch that version on the Criterion disc. I still haven't seen the Chrome version of Mad Max Fury Road, but I hear that's great too. So yeah, I would say if you already loved Godzilla Minus One, go see it again in black and white. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a great way to see it for the first time. Yeah,
I'm taking Chris and Nick and one of Nick's friends on Sunday, and none of them have seen it at all. So I'm thrilled to rewatch it. I'm thrilled for them to see it this way. Connor points out that Kubrick won an Oscar for visual effects.
Maybe not a Best Director Oscar though.
Someone please fact check that while we're on the fly here. I believe you, but that is not something that I knew. So thank you for Marilyn Monroe never won an Oscar. Points out it can be
also true. Yeah.
What does anything mean anymore? Exactly. I want to talk about this Roadhouse remake and what's going on with that with Doug Liman.
Yes.
First of all, I'm not sure the world needs a Roadhouse remake, but if anyone's going to do it, Doug Liman's an exciting choice. If you go all the way back to Go, Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Born Identity, and what was that Live, Die, Repeat movie?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Rinse, wash, repeat. Yeah, I know. And he's a talent. And if you want to see his movies, they are spectacles, and you should see them on the screen.
And he is Firstborn, right?
He did the Firstborn.
Yeah.
Hi, Teddy KGB. Good to see you. He says, if you've never seen Johnny Mnemonic in black and white, that's on Criterion.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah. I have not seen that one yet.
That's cool. So Doug Liman is boycotting his own film's premiere at South by Southwest in March because apparently he was told it would get a theatrical release. He made it for MGM. Amazon bought MGM. He wrote a whole big piece about this in Deadline, which you can go find. And he says that he was promised a theatrical release. And now they're like, no, we're just going to stream it on Prime Video. And he's pissed because it's not the deal that he agreed to. And I don't blame him.
Well, I get it. And I think he has every right to be annoyed about it. My question is, what is the deal that he made exactly? Because I feel like and obviously I don't know how far back this goes. I don't know when this movie started production. I think obviously in the wake of recent, Zaslav events, people's contracts are getting real specific about like, you're going to release this movie and you're going to release it in like X number of theaters or for this amount of time before it goes to streaming, whatever. And so I would like to know what he was promised, what his contract says. And if his contract didn't say it, then I mean, it sucks that they're doing this to him, but at the same time, it's like, well, maybe if your lawyer didn't ask for the thing. I don't know the specifics here. I agree with you, though, that it is crappy that this movie is going to go straight to streaming, because I think a lot of filmmakers very rightly are concerned about the fact that they just kind of get lost in the shuffle because so much stuff does.
Yeah, and I'm sure this movie will play like gangbusters at South by Southwest.
Sure.
It's got a big UFC backing behind it because Jake Gyllenhaal in the Patrick Swayze role is now a former UFC fighter turned bar bouncer.
Okay.
So, yeah, all kinds of opportunities there for this to be huge. And I wish I could see it on a screen, Someone pointed out that Jake Gyllenhaal is in a weird place in his career. Someone in our comments pointed that out. It's interesting. Yeah, he can do it all, right? He can do weird little art house movies, and he can get all buff and.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him like, what was the boxing movie that he did?
Yeah.
It's
not called The Fighter, but something like that.
Southpaw. Southpaw. Thank you. He can get real crunchy when he wants to. So, yeah, why not? And then go do a Sondheim musical.
Yes, for sure. He can do it all. Roma Steve says, are they calling it roadhouses? Yes. To road to house.
I think there was a direct-to-video Roadhouse sequel with like Jonathan Scheck or something back in the day. So this is a reboot, not a sequel.
Oh, okay. It's a legacy quel.
Maybe the pitch was he walked in and wrote Roadhouse on a whiteboard and then put dollar signs on the S. I don't know.
Roadhouse. Very good. David LeMan, thank you so much for your kind and generous donation. We're happy to have you here. Yes, I looked up. Kubrick did win an Oscar for VFX for 2001. Also very glad that Mission Impossible finally got recognized in sound and visual effects. It's very underrated. I wasn't really that engaged with Godzilla Minus One. Yes, we are thrilled also that Mission Impossible finally got some love there, some respect there. Yeah. A lot of craft goes into those films, as Tom Cruise will tell you.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks to all you guys pointing out that Jake Gyllenhaal was also in Sondheim's Sunday. Yes.
What can't he do?
Roadhouse Tokyo Drift, says Courtney Z. Yes, I love that idea. Yes.
Now you're talking.
That is great. And someone mentioned Norman Jewison. We will definitely get to him later on down on the rundown here. I have a rundown. I'm a serious journalist. My husband's been a TV news producer for 30 years. I kind of know what I'm doing.
Run of show.
Kind of a little bit. Let's talk about Jon Stewart returning to The Daily Show. Because it's been a while and the landscape has changed, both in terms of late night and in terms of just how politics get covered now, because politics are so different now. He's coming back on a part-time basis, only one night a week, I believe on Mondays, kind of like what Rachel Maddow has done. Right. And he's going to just do it temporarily through the presidential election in November. Is this a good idea? Like, has his time kind of passed in terms of what this job is?
I mean, I think there's a viewership that's excited about this and that will tune in at least the first couple times to see how it goes. I'm a little ambivalent for a couple of reasons. I feel like that the Trump years have made me more sort of aggressively like a communist, basically, at least a hard socialist. And so these sort of mealy-mouthed centrist things just I'm not as into anymore. Like I stopped listening to Pod Save America. I don't know that Jon Stewart is going to speak truth to power in a way that we really need him to, and I just worry it's going to be more sort of Bill Maher-ish kind of like center left rankling. I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens.
I don't know either, but I don't know that he is in a position to change anyone's mind, right? Like if you're anywhere waffling for any reason, I don't know that Jon Stewart of all people is going to swoop in and say something that's going to make something click in your brain and vote otherwise in either direction. I think he speaks to a certain age of viewer who already has his or her mind made up. Is already pretty much a communist, like you would say.
I don't think he appeals to that market. I think he appeals to sort of the good liberals, and so I think, you're right. The people who want to install him in their echo chamber will be thrilled to have him, but I don't know who else he's gonna necessarily reach out to. I'm also thinking about how bad that political satire he made was. Remember with Steve Carell and Rose Byrne about the small town election?
Oh, yes.
Which was dreadful.
It was kind of strident and smug and very obvious, I thought.
Yes,
we reviewed it.
Yeah, it was not good. So if this is the level of like discourse we're going to get from him, I'm not real thrilled about it. But, you know, I'm sure like everybody else, I'll tune in for that first one just out of curiosity to see what's going on with him, you know?
Indeed. Also, we got to talk about something which I know you were excited about, which is that Julianne Moore and Tilda Swinton are going to star in Pedro Almodovar's English language feature debut called The Room Next Door.
Yes, no, I'm thrilled to hear about this. It's funny though, in reading about this, it was the first that I learned that he is no longer adapting the novel A Guide for Cleaning Women for Cate Blanchett's production company, which had been in the works for a while. That was going to be his English language feature debut. And then apparently in 2022, they pulled the plug on that. And I guess I missed it. But yeah, so he's got a film in production now with Tilda Swinton, Julianne Moore, and John Turturro, and it's going to be his first English language feature, and I can't wait. I mean, I always can't wait for whatever he's got up his sleeve, but this especially sounds really cool. Right.
Both of them. And Tilda, we already know, is on his wavelength, you know, having been in The Human Voice. Yeah, that'll be cool. So we reviewed Strange Way of Life here. We will definitely review whatever Pedro's English language feature is. We'll keep an eye on that for you. And then also we got a request early on in the comments to talk about this new movie that Ryan Coogler is doing with Michael B. Jordan, which may or may not be a vampire movie. We don't know. But apparently various studios, according to Deadline, various studios are like competing for it, vying for it. And, you know, reteaming them. They've worked together so many times for Fruitvale Station and Creed and Black Panther, of course. So,
yeah, no, look, those two, I want to see whatever they're going to do together. And I'm glad that Coogler had his moment to really shine in the Marvel world. I'm also glad to see him blaze his own trails and do his own thing. So yeah, this is, I think, you know, nothing is a can't miss, but this is definitely something to get excited about.
We have a friend here from Bali. James Watling says, morning, you guys from Bali. Wow, I am just tickled that you are here. What time is it in Bali? Thank you for being here. Adam Jimenez asked, didn't Cate Blanchett join that cast, or am I mistaken? I don't know, but that'd be cool
the
too.
Almodovar film? Not that it's been announced, no, but.
Yeah. That would be so. Angel says Cate Blanchett pulled out of the other project, the one about cleaning ladies.
Okay.
Yes, we are all over the place here. Yes, very good. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. A couple of other things I want to talk about. I have a newsletter, which you may or may not know about. All these things that are all scattered in the ether that we're pulling down here, they're all in my newsletter. It is at ChristyLemire.com. There's a button that says subscribe here, and you can subscribe there. That would be delightful. I'd love to see you and share goodies that you don't get anywhere on the YouTube or the Patreon are there. So love to have you there. And then also, if you are a member of our Patreon, or even if you're not, we do a thing on one Monday a month called Lunch Date. And the next one is coming up this upcoming Monday, January 29th at noon Pacific. It's sort of like this. It's like a more intimate version of this. It's over Zoom. A couple of folks that you see here in the chat are our lunch date pals. And we meet once a month and talk about whatever's going on in our lives, what movies we've seen, our travels. So you can find out more about that on the membership page of patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Nancy, thank you for being a new subscriber. We're happy to have you at our newsletter. Yay, yay. Dorothy says, hi, Christy. Hi, Alonso. Glad you're able to join. Dorothy is a Patreon friend. Good to see you here. Hi, Courtney says, is it the last Monday of every month? It has been, Courtney.
We're not locked into that.
We're not. And we try to be flexible with time and with day. If it's a holiday, for example, we'll move it from a Monday, and we try to move it around. Like 9 a.m. we did, 3 p.m. we did, but noon seems to be when most folks can make it. So we've sort of noon Pacific, that is. So yeah, we can figure it out. But yes, Courtney, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Dorothy, thanks to you as well. And we have to talk about Norman Jewison, who left us this week 97, and what an incredibly versatile filmography he leaves behind.
Absolutely. I had the privilege of meeting him briefly on the first TCM cruise, where they were honoring him and they screened several of his films. I really love directors, especially in the sort of post auteur era. After the 60s, film critics sort of created this whole idea that the directors of these are the authors of their projects, and they'd like to sort of figure out what lane to put everybody in. And then you get somebody like Norman Jewison, who's very much in the sort of Howard Hawks, George Roy Hill tradition, where it's like he'll make a musical, he'll make a thriller, he'll make a comedy, he'll make a kids movie, like whatever, and just like do really well with all of them. So this is a guy who started off with very kind of fluffy comedies. He did the last of the Doris and Rock comedies, Send Me No Flowers, and then a couple of years later made In the Heat of the Night, and then a couple of years after that made Fiddler on the Roof, and then a couple of years after that made Rollerball, and then made Moonstruck. So like we don't see that kind of eclecticism often enough, I think, in filmmakers, but he was just one of those guys who was interested in each project as its own thing, and not as like my body of work.
I mean, that he has like Jesus Christ Superstar and Rollerball in him, like in the same decade,
like back to back, I think.
Right, is really interesting. And then the fact that he could do everything and do it so well, but also there was a social consciousness that was a through line to quite a bit of his films. If you look at something like The Hurricane, for example, we have lots of folks with remembrances of Norman Jewison in the comments. Lots of love for Moonstruck, of course. Christine says Fiddler on the Roof was possibly my first grown-up movie. Cried for about the last quarter of it. And so if you look at that, and also Jesus Christ Superstar, like they're so alive, like they're so vibrant, and they take chances artistically in ways that are really exciting and kind of daring.
And if you want to see Jewison on camera, I would recommend that you check out the documentary that came out in the last couple of years about the making of the Fiddler movie, which he is interviewed in. And it's a really exciting look, because that project came at the tail end of the big musicals boom of the 60s, which left a lot of studios swimming in a lot of red ink, because after you had the success of like West Side Story to some extent, but really Mary Poppins and Sound of Music were the ones that were like, oh, everybody's getting in on this musical thing. And you had like Paint Your Wagon and Star and like all these really expensive duds that just wrecked the industry for a while there, because the boomers were coming up and they didn't care about that stuff. They wanted to see biker movies and whatever. And so Fiddler on the Roof, by the early 70s, like that kind of musical was not a done deal, like that it was a given that it would be successful, and it was hugely successful and kind of one of the last gasps of that period of musical filmmaking.
Real fast, Temo Rivera is here. We're so happy to see you. Muchas gracias.
Hola.
And speaking of Norman Jewison and speaking of our Patreon, he's going to be the subject of our Off the Menu poll in February. Another thing that we do, in case you don't know, over at our Patreon is our monthly Off the Menu polls. We put it up to you, the viewers, to pick what we review from a variety of choices that Alonso lovingly curates. So Norman Jewison is the theme for our poll in February. And I think Moonstruck is among the choices, possibly.
It probably will be, yeah. So that should be dropping on the 1st of February. So keep an eye out, and plenty of time to join in the meantime if you aren't already a member.
Yes, thank you. Hi, John McVeigh. Good to see you. And this was super fun. This is all I have for news, but this went really, really well. So I think we'll probably do it again this way. This was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it too. Any suggestions you ever have, we are open to them. So please let us know down in the comments. And thanks for taking time out in the middle of the day. What we're going to do now, just to let you know how the sausage gets made, we're going to do a couple of film reviews. You'll see those up on our YouTube channel in a couple of hours. We're going to record some stuff for Patreon. We're doing our Echo recap. It's hard to say today. And so we're going to have a couple more things for you later on in the day, but this was super fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Alonso, did you have fun?
Absolutely. Y'all lovingly caress that subscribe button, and we'll be back with more stuff soon.
Thank you so much. And Christine's asking for a Baxter appearance. Baxter is back in the bedroom sleeping. When I last saw, he was having doggy dreams. He was like, "Bum, bum." He was twitching and grunting in his sleep. So we'll wake him up eventually. Thanks to all you guys, and we will see you again very soon.
Have a great weekend. Bye.